Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm excited to have you here today. I am going to be speaking about the assignment that was specifically placed on my life, and I didn't even know it. And the assignments that may have been placed on your life, and you don't even know it. And we're going around life wondering why we're coming up against so many challenges in life, but because there wasn't a specific assignment placed to literally hinder us, placed to hold us back and bondage, so that way we can't move forward. There's assignments that are truly placed on people's lives to destroy them. And I didn't know it. I didn't know it. I just knew that I was suffering and didn't know why. I had an understanding of what trauma I went through, but I didn't know that there was an assignment that was specifically placed on me to take me out. For those who don't know me, my name is Jonte Bird. I'm a life coach. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an author. I'm a content creator, and I'm passionate about helping women with their healing journey. I believe in inspiring and motivating women so that they can learn the true concepts of self love, right? I believe that the greatest hope for us women is undoubtedly knowing the importance of your worth, regardless of the adversity that we may face. So, again, thank you for joining me today. If you would like, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you want to follow me, I'm on Facebook at The Survivor's Journey, and I'm also on Instagram at The Survivor underscore Journey. So let's talk about this for a little bit, and I'm gonna be brief about my story so that way you can get an understanding of how I realized that there was a specific assignment placed on my life. And many of you guys who follow me know my story, and some of you guys know of my story, but really doesn't know how deep it is, right? Growing back, growing up as a young child, my earliest memory is pornography and sex abuse. I was introduced to pornography and sex abuse at the age of 4 or 5 years old, by a family member. And so when I think back on that, it's like wow, if I have to think back of good moments, I would have to pass that moment because that's my earliest moment. And so that's how I know that there was a specific assignment placed on my life, because the earliest memory that I have is of pain, of trauma. And so the enemy want to keep me in that type of bondage of not having great memories or good moments as a first memory. And so I didn't realize that the assignment was placed on my life, because all I realized was the pain and the trauma and the memories and the things that was being done to me and the things that I was forced to do. And so I couldn't release that thought. Um, I could only just hold on to what happened to me. And so as I grew in my healing journey, I began to start understanding and see, this is why it's important to have your walk with God, because when you have a walk with God, you start to understand different assignments. You start to understand different dynamic things that are placed on you that are out in this world. There are real things out here that, I knew was out there, but I turned the blind eye like, okay, I know there's spiritual warfares. I know there's generational curses. I know there's so many things out here, but I never thought that it would be an attack on me. And so as some of my family members begin to speak up about some of the sex abuse that they have encountered, I begin to realize that our family have a um, curse on them, a sex abuse curse on them. And many women in my family have experienced sexual trauma and sexual abuse. And that's not something that is normal. That is not something that I will accept as normal. Um, and I certainly would never tolerate that being any of my children's story. And so that curse will stop with me. Um, so I didn't realize that there was an assignment specifically placed on my life until I started thinking about my earliest memory. And so and again, my earliest memory was of pain. And so what the enemy did was keep me in bondage to that memory, to that pain. So when there were good things that came about in my life, I enjoyed it. I felt it. It was great, but it always took me back to that pain. That pain superseded greatness, right? That pain was the main focal point of my life. And so that was another clue on how I knew that there was an assignment specifically out on my life, right? And so when you're dealing with trauma, we know, and if you don't know, I'm telling you that trauma creates a story and it creates a false narrative. It makes you start to think of things that are not of God, meaning you would start to question yourself. When you have sex abuse happen to you, you lose an identity of yourself, especially if you are caught at a young age. See, these are things that people don't talk about. And so when it comes down to like sex abuse, you come with some sort of shame. Shame comes, right? And so when shame comes, you're silenced. If you ever think about shame brings silence because if you're shameful of something, you don't want to speak about it. You don't want to talk about it. Again, an assignment that was placed on my life to muzzle me, to have me lose my self identity. Now, as a kid, you don't know who you are. So I never got the opportunity to grow into who I was supposed to be because I was already captive of sex abuse, right? And so, again, sex abuse will give you a different road, a different narrative. And so now you're battling with things that you shouldn't be battling with as a child. Children are really supposed to just grow and grow into who they are and enjoy life with fun and laughter, and discipline. But when there's sex abuse and it interferes with that, it changes the narrative. It changes who you believe that you can trust. It brings shame to you as a kid. And you begin to wonder things about who you are. You're quiet. A lot of times you wet yourself. Like so your everything about you shifts, right? And so there's an assignment for you to shift. So you can't grow into who you're supposed to be. The assignment is to reel you in and literally hold you in bondage to this thing. So now you're growing up and you already have self doubt. You already have some sort of anxiety. You already can't trust adults, or you can't trust people, or you probably can't trust men. Or if you were a male, you can't trust females. And so, in this specific trauma that I endured, that's what it was doing to me. And so I couldn't really figure out who I was. And so there's more trauma that came on top of that trauma: parent abandonment, homelessness. So when you have parent abandonment, what comes with parent abandonment? Parent abandonment, it definitely is a form of rejection. And so when you feel rejected, now you have all of these insecurities that build up inside of you. Am I good enough? I'm not smart enough, or I can never do that, or I can never achieve these things. And you're comparing yourself to other people, or you're perhaps maybe wishing that you were this type of person, or you wish you was that person, or you wish you had this family. See all the confusion that trauma brings to you. And so that's why I was saying there was a specific assignment out for my life, because by the age of 14, I have already dealt with so much trauma, and it tried to take me out. Listen, I have so many people tell me, I'm so proud of you. And I couldn't understand why they were so proud of me, because I'm like, okay, what did I do? But then when I look back over the course of my life, I overcame adversity. I got through some struggles as a child that many people would have lost their mind a long time ago. Mind you, I'm 14 and I'm a teenage mom and I am homeless. And so, no parents there to be there for me. I was already sexually abused twice by this time. And so, I've dealt with the rejection. And so, I had to grow up. And so, what happens when you have to deal with so much? I lost my entire childhood. My entire childhood consisted of memories of sex abuse. My entire childhood consisted of missing my mom, wondering where my dad was, wondering why my mom wasn't there, foster care, different family members, hearing the whispers from family members. Um, and so that's why I say there was a specific assignment out to take me out, because these are the things that as a child you should not be experiencing. And so this may be my story, but then if you sit back and think about your story, what is it? Is that one thing that has been the rain cloud in your life? And most likely that is the assignment that was out to take you out. And so I'm speaking about this stuff because I want you to sit back and really dig deep on what that assignment was that came into your life that has now stopped you from springing forward, from moving forward, from getting to the next level. What is that thing? Mine was to muzzle me. I make a lot of people uncomfortable when I'm telling my story. And I'm okay with that because they gave me a story to tell. I'm going to tell it. It's my story. It's my life. I have the right to speak about it and I have the right to talk about it. But there was one point in my life where I was literally muzzled. I was told not to say nothing and I didn't. Shame was there. And I never understood, why do I feel so shameful for something that I had no control over? And so I had to release that. I released that shameful spirit that was trying to be on me. I released that because I didn't ask for what happened to me. And so I'm going to speak about these things because there's a lot of women and men out here who are suffering in silence, who hold in a certain secret that is eating them alive. And I understand why, because there's shame that comes with that. And so when you begin to think about that assignment that is on your life, now it's time to recognize it. Okay, you know what? This assignment was meant to take me out. I am not supposed to be where I'm at now. Listen, now I have a testimony and I have several testimonies about my life because I am not supposed to be where I'm at right now. If you know me and you've known my story, I was laughed at, I was picked on, I was teased going to school. And most of these people, I forgive them, didn't even know I was homeless, didn't know that I was sleeping on relatives' couches, didn't know that I was pretty much raising myself, didn't know that. And so I forgive them because one, A, they're kids, and B, how would they have known? Because I never said anything, right? So it's time to literally start to think about what is that assignment that was placed on you to hinder you, to keep you in bondage, to keep you captive? Why are you not being the best that you could be and living in the best life that you can live? And it's not about monetary, everything isn't about money, but it's about actually really being free, mental freedom, right? And when I speak about mental freedom, I speak about these things because when you are able to accept now, and I get a lot of people come at me about I'm not going to accept what happened to me. What happened to me is wrong. You're right. I would never take away what happened to anybody. What happened to me was wrong. What happened to you was wrong. Your things is just tough in life sometimes. But when I say accept it, right? That means you're no longer fighting it. You're no longer pushing it aside and acting like it never happened, trying to ignore it, trying to just live your life and be like, you know what? Yes, this happened to me, but I'm not going to speak about it. I'm going to hold it in. And just so you know, everything that we take in is supposed to be released, right? That's why we burp. That's why we pee. That's why we have bowel moments. Everything that goes in is supposed to come out. So when you're holding trauma or pain inside, what happens to the body when it can't release? So now we got dialysis because we're not really peeing like we're supposed to. Now we're dealing with the colon because we're not using the bathroom like we're supposed to. Now we're having this these aches in our stomach because we're not releasing like we're supposed to. Can you imagine what trauma does when we don't release it? Bitterness, anger, unforgiveness, all these things are just brewing inside of you, and you're not able to release it because shame, fear, and you really just don't know how, and you just don't know who you can release it to. And that's why I speak about journaling, because journaling is sacred. It's between you and God. It's your thoughts, it's your feelings, it's your wants, it's your needs. It is written, and you don't understand the power of when you write things down. But I'm not going to get distracted. So we'll talk about that in another video. Actually, I have a video on journaling and the importance of journaling. So take a look at some of my videos on journaling because it's very important that you journal, especially when you're going through a healing process and you're going through your healing journey. And so when there's a specific assignment on your life and everyone's assignment is completely different, now you may be able to relate because if you're in a family that is full of trauma and you think about your family and everybody's dealt with something, then that is something that needs to be broken off of your bloodline. There's a curse out that is out to specifically attack your bloodline, and it gets very, very deep. And some people may just toss this aside and be like, okay, she's losing her mind. But if you think about, you sit back and seriously think about the trauma that people in your family has been through, and there's multiple family members, there might be something out to just attack your bloodline. And the problem is, and especially in the African American culture, we don't specifically talk about things. We're told to keep that. That's something we don't talk about. We're forbidden to speak about certain things, and that is why there's so much mental health going on, because in a lot of these families there's a lot of secrets and there's a lot of lies and there's a lot of things that people don't talk about, and it creates so much mental health, anxiety, depression, because people aren't understanding why they're going through the things that they're going through, because of the silence, because of the secrets. There's something that was specifically out on your bloodline, but there's also something out that is specifically out to attack you. And some people can escape it and they don't have that, but there are people like me that has had a specific assignment out to take me out. And I'm telling you, people are like, you, I just can't believe it. And in my mind, I was just like, listen, I had to do what I had to do. But I didn't understand that the assignment was out to take me out. I knew that I was dealing with a lot of pain. I knew I was dealing with trauma. I knew I was dealing with broken relationships, meaning my family, my siblings. Like I knew that there was things um, that separated us. And that's another thing. If you have family members who are scattered out and other family members are raising their family members, and that there's an assignment out, and you have to pay attention to that assignment. And so for this particular video, I want to speak about how you get past that assignment. Recognize the assignment. Listen, I know there's an assignment out for me. I know that it's trying to stop me. I know the fact that I'm even having this video right now is not part of that assignment. And so I'm already beating the odds of even speaking about my story and making people uncomfortable. And then again, making a lot of people comfortable because they're like, yes, finally somebody's talking about this stuff. But also allowing yourself to know that I am going to beat the odds. I cannot allow this particular thing, this trauma, this pain to hold me back. Earlier today, I spoke about mindsets, and it has a lot to do with attacking your mind and where you're at in your mind. How this assignment has captivated your mind to the point where you don't know who you are, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you want, you're confused, you're going through the motions of life, and you are struggling to find identity on who you are. You lack self love. And this is not to make you feel a certain type of way, but this is to help you to understand what's going on with you. And so when you're going through these motions, it is time to take a step back. And sometimes you have to isolate yourself in order for you to truly, truly, truly get a grip on your life, because time is short. We don't have a lot of time out here. As you get older, you realize that that second hand keeps ticking. When we lose family members and we're losing friends, I've lost a lot of people that I grew up with, and I'm like, wow, another person passed away that I knew. It makes me start to think about life. Life is going, that second hand keeps on ticking. Time doesn't stop for anybody. So, wouldn't it be great to literally live your life through the lens of who you believe you should be? Wouldn't it be great to live a life of mental freedom? So, for me, yes, I've been through a lot of things, right? But I've come to the point of accepting it. I no longer try to run from it, because there was a point in my life when I tried to run from it, act like it didn't happen, act like that was not me. This is not my story. I didn't want to deal with it. I was just hurting in the process. But I've learned to accept what my life is or was. I've learned that that was something that is a part of me. These are things that has happened to me. I've learned to accept it. Doesn't mean I'm okay with it. Absolutely not. I'm not okay with what happened to me. But I have accepted the fact that this is a part of my story. And it brings me back to Erica Badu and that song Bag Lady. That song right there, that song has some power to it, because those bags is in my, how, if I want to break it down in my thought process of it, in the GB version, is Shantae Bird version of Bag Lady. Those bags, one bag could be lack of self love, one bag could be not having self identity, one bag could be insecurity. These bags that you throw on your back, and you have to walk around life with these bags on you, right? So then when you begin to look at those bags and you begin to accept who you are, okay, listen, this is where I've been. I've been down this road. This is where I've been. But here I am now. Who am I now? You are not your pain. You are not your trauma. So, how do you step over that thing and walk in your full potential. Go after your destiny, go after your goals without allowing this thing, this assignment to hold you back. Because remember, it came in your life, the assignment is to hold you back. So are you going to give in to that assignment, or are you going to spring forth and know what God has told us and told you who you are? Listen, I'm a daughter of a king. And I say that with greatness because who wouldn't want to be a daughter of a king? All of us women and young girls are daughters of a king. Do you know how powerful that is? Do you know that you are royalty? Do you know that there's things that's out there to hold you back, but since you are a daughter of a king, you are mighty? So you have to start believing in yourself. Mindset. When your mindset changes, you start to see clearly. Get out of the victim mentality and spring over to the survivor and surviving mentality. And you will see a shift in your mind the minute that you move past that. There's people out here that want to kill themselves, that speak about killing themselves so freely as if they don't matter, as if there's no life to them, there's no value to them. They don't see the value or who they are to the point where they're willing to kill themselves. And when you don't realize who you are, you're a daughter of a king. So when you think about that, you have to think about royalty. Think about royalty. When you look back in Africa and you see the kings and the queens, they are of royalty. That is who we are. We serve a mighty God. He is our king, and he will not let us down. You have to believe it. So when I say that there was an assignment over my life, there's an assignment over my life to hold me back. But the minute that it clicked in my mind that I was no longer going to allow myself to be a victim of that assignment and be in bondage to it, I realized that my life changed completely. I met the man of my dreams. I'm living the life that I've always asked God to live. I love my family. God is restoring relationships. Like things is just happening out of nowhere. It can happen for you when you release and accept and start to learn forgiveness. You forgive for yourself. And that was something, that was the last thing that I literally had a hard time with, forgiveness. Cause I'm like, I'm not, listen, look, I'm not forgiving nobody who done anything. But then when I realized that the forgiveness isn't for that person, the forgiveness is for me. And I kept hearing that and I just didn't want to hear it. Forgiveness is not for that person. Forgiveness is for you. I heard it over and over and over. I'm like, okay. But one day God dealt with me. He dealt with me. He dealt with me before I even started helping women because that's what he needed for me to do. Give my testimony, help other women get to the next level, motivate these women out here and let them know how beautiful they are. Let them encourage them. Let them know who they are. Let them know who daughter they belong to. Like who you are matters. You are a daughter of a king. So when you start to realize the design of your life and there's things that's out to specifically harm you, to stop you from getting to that next level, you will begin to realize just who you are. But you got to step over that thing. You got to know who you are. Mindset. It's all your mindset. When you shift that mindset, when you shift your mind. The mind is a powerful thing because let me tell you something. If somebody got you mentally, if you are confined mentally, then physically you will be lost. if somebody can have you mentally. So you need to know who you are, who you belong to, and that you are a daughter of a king. You cannot continue to allow that assignment that was placed on your life to have power over you. Until next time, y'all, Survivor's Journey.